it's hard in the heat.
We hope so. We pray so.
And Baltimore heat is different. I saw people walking outside with no clothes. And I literally said, I understand. That's a joke, by the way. So Dr. Lewis, I know that may be a crisis in your world. So, but anyway, I am grateful and I am humbled by the APA for giving me this opportunity to be the Grand Marshal. I take the opportunity with such pride to be in this space. Just to give you a little bit about myself, I am a former pro football player. I was in the NFL about 17, 18 years ago. It's funny because people walk up to me and say, hey, you still play? I'm like, nah, I look like it. I still get in that gym every day because that's part of my mental health routine. And so my story, how I got involved in mental health, after football, after I got released and sent home, I didn't know how to figure out who I wanted or who I was beyond the helmet. So as a black man who has identified himself as an athlete, I found myself in a very, very dark place. And I won't be long about my story because it's deep and it's very powerful and riveting in some areas that I share. But I am a two-time suicide survivor. So after the second time I attempted, my godmother who found me under the bed, I made a decision. I wanted to get help because I knew I was burying all of this stuff from my childhood. And as most black men, either it becomes sports, promiscuity, either drugs, or you find something to numb it. And that's what I did is I numbed mine through football. If I put that helmet on, I played running back and fullback. There was nothing more liberating than to run through a chest. That was my therapy, Dr. Perry.
Yeah, right. I got you.
That was my therapy. And so even today I have to box because I love to be active. You know, even before I speak to people, like I see you moving around and doing, because movement is everything. And so I want to salute to the APA for even having this event outside, because I think it's just something about when you're outside and your foot hits the grass and you're grounded again, and there's a centeredness that you can connect with the earth. And I think there's a level of stillness that you can have in just being outdoors. And of course, for the past 2.5 years, many of us probably been inside. And even though the pandemic is over, many of us are still inside mentally. I'm not gonna go there this morning. My dad is a pastor, so I know how to take it there real quick. So for me, mental health is more than just, Dr. Lewis, Dr. James, all of us know that everybody's talking about it now, right? It's ubiquitous. You can't turn on no channel without hearing something about mental health. But when you're in our world, and I've been in this space almost 8 years now, and been a therapist almost 5, and then soon to be 6 weeks, because I turned my homework in this morning, 5 weeks left, and I'll be Dr. J. Barnett. And my doctorate is in healthcare administration, so when Dr. Lewis said laws push healthcare, that's why I got in healthcare, because I realized that I was helping a lot of black men in the space, in the clinical space, seeing them one-on-one. But I said, I want to make a generational impact on laws, policies, resources, how the resources are dispersed, how the resources are available, because a lot of the resources that we have available, a lot of us don't have access to it. And many times we don't have access because of limited information. And let me tell you something, you can't make good decisions with no information.
That's right. That's right.
And so we're asking people to live well, but they don't have the tools to be well. So that was my reason for pursuing that. I've been very strategic about my journey, and I feel that it is a God-ordained assignment, because nobody wakes up and says, my dream was to play in the NFL and now I want to be a therapist. I can tell you that was not my aspiration, not at all. And I started in the clinical space working with girls in group homes and foster care. And I created this program, and they was like, "No, this is a dope program. You should consider being a therapist." I said, "I'm 33 years old. I'm not going back to no school." And if you got a relationship with the man upstairs,
Yep.
he pulls on your
That's
heart.
right. That's right.
And I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, man. So I got up in the middle of the night researching marriage and family therapy program. I sent over my, transcript and had an interview. And the guy says, "Why do you want to be a therapist?" And I like to tell stories. I said, "Let me tell you a story about a little boy." This white man was in tears. He said, "No one has never given me such an elaborate story of why they wanted to do something." And let me tell you what why means for me. What honors you? Y'all take that with you. What is your why? What honors you? What honored me is because I would never forget the little boy in Mississippi and how I felt when my parents divorced. I had nobody to talk to, 7 uncles. Mom got 12 sisters. Come from big families, but nobody reached back. And I never forgot that. And I said, what if I could have given that little boy, or what could I do, or could I have done, had that little boy had a voice? And let me tell you something. When I look at these brothers out here, thank you brothers for being here, because it's hard as a black man to really be open and honest about what your true experience is. Not what they perceive, but what your experience is on a day-to-day. And when I started opening up and I realized that I wasn't going to school because I wanted to be a therapist, I was going to school because I was trying to figure out my own life. And most people who become a therapist, if you're really on the journey, you learn more about you than you trying to learn about the tools and the skills that you want to utilize with your clients. And my professor said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I'm trying to get me right." I'm trying to get rid of this trauma, man. Because I had so much anger. And then I realized it really wasn't anger, it was really abandonment. But I called it anger because when you don't have the language, you only reach for what's available and what you're familiar with. So that's why we have so many people. I'm not just going to link this to men. We have so many people that are angry because you never got your moment of redemption, vindication, your moment to speak about your experience. So you have to live in silence, and you have to put on this mask. And the truth be told, Dr. Perry, this world has become one big masquerade party. Everybody's wearing a mask. Remember I said earlier, the pandemic is over. But some of you still have your masks on. You can wear a mask at work. You got a mask with your spouse. You got a mask with your kid. You got a mask around your family. And I said, I don't want to wear any more masks.
Amen.
I want to be free. And your freedom is tied to your mental health. And it's not just the disorders. You know, the depression, anxiety. Mental health is everyday life. How you wake up, how you start your morning is mental health. And until you can get understanding of what you need, your mental health will always be in a disarray. I tell people, I can't start my morning off with a lot of loud noise. I can't. I need to start quiet. I remember playing ball, and my roommate, when I was playing Arena League, we had to have roommates, and they put 2 offensive guys, and I had the big lineman, he was like 6'8", and so he was protecting me. So I ain't really want to, say too much to him, but I did say enough. I said, "Good brother, come on, man. It's 8:30. I get it that Pac is your dude. He's my dude. But I don't want to hear Machiavelli at 8:30. Like, let's ease into the day. Because let me tell you something. If you don't settle your mind, when you open your door, this world is noisy. So what the APA is saying, we're wanting to provide you the opportunities and the resources to meet people and to meet advocates, because let me tell you this, not everybody that advocates is resourceful. These are advocates who are resourceful. And again, I know it because you got everybody, I'm an advocate. Like, what does that mean? Because if you can't lead me to where to get help, baby, you just talk. So your mental health is so critical to your quality of life. And people see the 41-year-old Jay and they don't realize it was the 30-year-old Jay that had to make a decision after a drug overdose. Yeah. And I grew up in the church, so I was going to therapy, and them church folks, my family, was like, nigga, what is you doing? You don't go tell these white folks your business. Gabe, you know what I told him? I don't care what color he is. I'm trying to get some help. I didn't care if he was green. But when that man allowed me to peel back those layers, and let me tell you this, everybody's not going to therapy, and that's okay. But maybe you have a therapeutic experience that starts you on your journey to do some inward soul searching and to have a moment of reflexivity, and you're able to look within and says, how can I have a better quality of life by addressing things that I've been masking? Because whether you live 70 years or 80 years or 90 years, it's really not that long. And I told my therapist, I want to get free because I want to live my life free from the restraints of what I went through. And I said, that's why it's important to me. And so, and I've emerged as this face of Black men's mental health, written a book, Just Heal Grow, been on tour for 2 years. I've done 20 cities, averaged 300 to 500 men, multiple TV experience, TV shows, so much stuff that I have in the works. But all of this is for our people. Because I grew up in Mississippi and I know what abundance looked like, and there ain't no more slavery. Because you don't have to be behind bars to be in jail, I'll tell you that right now.
That's right.
Because if your mind is in prison, you're in trouble. And so this event is powerful, and thank you to Veronica for believing in me, and thank you to Gabriel. So I wanted to share insight. I would say this, I am my dad's son. You cannot give me the mic. And meaning that I don't believe in just talking.
PK.
You know, Bishop Jakes is my mentor, and you know, and I tell him, I was like, Bishop, when I touch the mic, he said, you better say something. If you ain't got nothing to say, don't you grab that mic. And so I would hope something that I said in this moment will quicken you, as the church folks say, quicken your spirit, but something that would ignite you to say, you know what, let me stop at this table and inquire. Because we do a lot of acquiring, but we do very little inquiry. So we'll get a bunch of stuff, but nobody's really like, okay, what's happening on the inside of me? And I don't believe in just doing events if there's no change. So, because people, you know, want to partner with me all day long, Dr. Perry. And the APA, I was like, I wanted to know more about the mission. I don't care if it was the United States Army. I want to know about your mission. Are you really trying to help people? Or are you trying to check off a box? So they're really wanting to help people. So again, thank you guys for being here. Listen, this is not something that I plan to do, but if you're looking for a great Black male therapist in the city of Baltimore, my good friend Cliff, walk out here, Cliff, with his Marvel shirt on. This is a close friend of mine. I have a very small circle, and as you know, there's less than 1% of of therapists, clinicians, psychiatrists, and psychologists. Less than 1% are Black men. Less than 2% are Black men and women. So Cliff, again, I didn't tell him I was going to do this, and I know he's just out here supporting me today. But I'm saying it because let me tell you something. Not everybody who has credentials is.
That's right.
Because I don't want nobody leaving here like, oh, I'm going to therapy, and you have a bad experience, and it turns you off, because that's usually what happens. So, and I'm all about cultural competency and cultural sensitivity. So when you are looking for a therapist, look for somebody that you connect with. It's an interview on the first session. Don't go in there and bum it. Please don't. Because as I tell people, I don't want to open you up and then we can't close you. Real talk, like, I'm not practicing no more, but when I was practicing, I had 6 months waiting list because my skill set, I feel, was a God-given thing, but also my ability to be honest with people. Because if you're not honest with yourself, therapy's not gonna work. Because for healing to work, you gotta have trust and accountability. And if I don't trust my clinician, it's not gonna work. So find somebody that you trust, that you feel comfortable with, fill them out. Just like dating, fill them out. You know, and you ask them questions. What experience do you have working with black trauma? What experience do you have with working with racial injustice? Like, ask those questions. What are your experiences on this? And listen for them to answer. And if they don't provide an adequate answer enough for you, it's just like a bad date. You probably not gonna call back. But this is Cliff. Y'all stop by and talk to him. I know you don't have, again, I didn't know, he's not here for that. But he's a black male therapist I trust. Because I'm not signing off on everybody. I'm sorry. I don't care. You can have more than degrees on a thermometer. I'm not signing off on that. I need to know that you're trustworthy and that